Thank you and welcome to my watercolour channel. So today what I'm going to be doing is taking you through a painting that I did in my watercolour journal. Now what I've done here, and you can see here, is the image that I captured on the day. Now this next screen will show you the few little edits that I made compositionally. So I wanted to put a figure on the road, or next to the road on the footpath, and very strong effects in terms of a bit stronger light coming through to the side, from the left hand side. Now I did the initial sketch without a recording, and it's a continuation of the Google Earth video that I started that I posted about a week ago. So in this image I've decided the actual random location I fell into that I wanted to actually paint. So I did a quick sketch up in my watercolour journal and decided to then treat it as a line and wash. Now my initial sketch of this building, it's not 100% correct when you think about perspective. There are a lot of errors, but I'm not going for something that's perfect in my watercolour journal. It's just something that I'll be taking on the road with me, out and about, and drawn in. Everything's done by eye, and again it's just one of those elements where I just get to practice. I think as long as you've got the general layout or perspective correct, you can definitely get away with minor errors in it. As you know, the most subtle things, lines, shadows, it tricks the brain, and yeah, we wouldn't have optical illusions otherwise, would we? So as long as you've got the general outlay, I think it's going to be okay for me. Just rubbing out the pencil lines now, and now I'm really regretting putting that line in, that very last one. I don't know why I did that. It's not in the original image, it just separates, and it's a nice beautiful white or grey wall, and yeah, regretting that one majorly, but that's okay. Putting in a wash of sky now, just trying to leave areas of white just to emulate a little bit of cloud, haze, cerulean blue and French ultramarine going in there. Now this is a Strathmore 400 watercolour journal, so it's not 100% cotton. I think my next one will be. Definitely requires a little bit of a different approach to applying paint. Does not hold water very well, so a lot of it'll just sit mainly on top while it dries. Going back in once it dries, it can be a little bit tricky, as you do bring up a lot of the paint if you're not careful going in a second, a third or fourth time. Love the darkness of that tree, but it does dry a lot lighter, so I'm going to be going in there a little bit later and applying some darks. Again, starting relatively carefully, not going in too dark, and just experimenting, applying different colours, just out of a bit of interest. Bit of a rusty roof there, just thought I'd see how that go. Not really worrying too much about the bleeding into the lighter colours by the tree. I think it actually adds quite a nice little effect. I do get rid of it though. Cauliflowering for effect with purposeful intent. It's one of the beautiful features of watercolour. Now I think once this initial wash is dry, going back into it and applying the probably the more detailed elements, adding more shadows and contrast is going to be one of those really important elements of this. Eventually, and something I'd love to get a lot more practice on, is the ability to be extremely loose and impressionistic with my watercolour. There's a couple of amazing Australian watercolourists that have that style, and it's something that I'd really love to practice a lot more. When my confidence builds a little bit, I'll be able to record a couple of them. I'm absolutely loving this palette that I have at the moment. Now this palette, the Mission Gold palette, is one of the waterproof ones, 18 wells. I found that my 24 palette that I had as Winsor & Newton palette of half pans, it was good, but I found that I was really digging my brushes in, and I was really a little bit more worried about the treatment I was giving my brushes, and felt that if I was just able to apply water and just very loosely, lightly wipe the brush over the top of the paint, it's going to be a little bit more, or provide me a little bit more longevity in the brushes that I have, as they are not cheap. I'm just wanting to warm up the street there a little bit, so just applying some warmer colours, just to really kind of enhance the effect of that light coming in from the left hand side. Not a lot of texture on this paper either, so it is very, very hard to dry brush texture like you could do with a cold press or a rough watercolour paper. Now I've gone in a little bit too dark probably on that back building, so I'm going to be lifting a little bit of that out. Didn't want to go that dark just yet. Again, I just wanted to slowly build up those darks. Start light, create my midtones, and once I'm very happy with where all that is at, then I can lay in my darks. And I'll do that very soon once it actually goes through a full drying. I wanted the cast shadows to be a lot stronger, and now this is probably the second attempt I'm having at that cast shadow, and I'm probably I will be having another one or two just to get everything up to where I'm wanting it. It's actually quite interesting watching while I mix the colour, just trying to piece together what it is that I'm about to tackle next. It's been a couple of days since I've actually painted this. Quite interesting. I mixed that orange and am not using it yet, so I'm not really quite sure why I did that. Oh, now I remember. I was actually second guessing myself about which colour I was going to paint the car. Thought if I'd gone the orange, it just would have been way too bright, and so I decided on the blue, hence why I sort of mixed all that orange. Now, one little element that I forgot to fix is the window at the back of the car. Looks like someone's thrown a rock into it, smashed it. So I'll be going back in and fixing that at some stage. Now, this is probably going to be the most funniest thing you've ever seen. I'm drawing figures in paintings I'm not so good at. So you can see me going in there. No, screwing it. Oh, no, we try again. No. Oh, no, let's get rid of it. So, yeah, you're going to see me fix that little bit of a mistake there, and now I'm going to go in and have a bit of a practice. Now, I definitely wanted to keep this very loose, but it probably doesn't really match the kind of style of the image, but again, working on people and figures in paintings is something that I'm slowly getting used to and working on. When I feel like I've completely figured it out, I'll be able to do a video on it at some stage. But enjoy the learning process. Hopefully something that you've already mastered or feel confident in. It's funny, after painting this little man, it reminds me he's just like wearing Tintin trousers. I'm not really quite sure what they're called. He's just standing out there looking out at the horizon, the sun, as it's slowly going down. I've actually gone back in after the painting was done and after the recording had finished and added a few extra details to his clothing. Turned that red into a hoodie jumper. Maybe it's a bit more of a colder day, colder evening. So this is a point here where I initially think that, oh, maybe I'm done. So I'm just removing the masking tape and end up going back in a second time as I'm not really satisfied with the contrast of certain areas. Now the street scene is very clean through Google Earth, so I'm just wanting to add a little bit of weeds and muck in places. Here I'm going in just adding some more contrast to the tree, as if it is directly, well, not directly behind, but behind the house and features there in front of it, so it's casting a shadow towards it, on it. Just adding a little bit more darker area there to the right hand side, again just to compensate for the lack of light that's getting through. And to draw, I suppose it really puts emphasis on the left hand side where the light is hitting. Probably breaking 100 rules when it comes to composition here, but I don't mind. I think it tells a little bit of a story how your eyes do drift off to that right hand side a little bit. Maybe I can leave it as a bit of a smashed windscreen in, or back, not windscreen, a back window of that car. Man spots it, walks out to the front of his place, looks up at the sky. Not again, he says. I need a garage. Going a little bit of whitewash here, just to add a little few highlights in places. Most of my painting's done quite late at night, so I've done my catch up on what I need to get prepared for planning the following day at work, and then kids are in bed and it gives me a little bit of time to paint, so the lighting can be a little bit sketchy at times. Just felt that that house probably stood out a little bit too much, a little bit flat, so I wanted to add a little bit of extra colour in there, a little bit more interest. I'm actually quite happy with just how it turned out. Again, it's just one of those very quick, the aim really is to be able to do this on a whim anywhere I stop. If I go travelling, I can just pull it out and draw and paint whatever I see quickly and effectively. I'll at least get the drawing down, and I can finish painting it through a reference photo later on if I need to. I probably didn't need to darken the road as much as I did, but it will dry a little bit lighter. I would have felt like it just needed to have a little bit of more of a bitumen feel. And that is that. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope... oh, no, that is not it. I'm actually going in for a little bit more. Why not? Anyway, thank you for watching my watercolour journey.